Good morning and welcome to the Elevate Renatus team call. This is your host, Keely Austin. If you're just joining us, it looks like we've got 53 participants, 54, so it is climbing. Today, our presenter is Bill Predebon. I'm really excited to be able to introduce Bill because I have known Bill for about 3 years now. I work with him in the Scottsdale market, and he's an amazing leader. He really does lead by example. He's a product of the product. He is a PIT team member, which is a President's Advisory Council member in training. That's a big deal. He's doing deals left and right. He's bringing on students constantly, and he's helping all of his team get 5-star. He really is a great product of the product, and Renatus has really changed his life. Before Renatus, he was a pro skier in Vail, Colorado, and he realized he was not really qualified to do much else. He got into the franchise world, and due to lack of knowledge, it cost him the whole business and he lost everything. In 2007, he heard about real estate investing. He didn't have education. He tried this on his own, and he got upside down and over $400,000 during the crash in 2008. He found Renatus, and I mean, imagine how you're feeling when you're $400,000 in debt. He was very, very, very motivated to make a change. The year that he found Renatus, he made 8 times more in his first year than he had made the previous year. And ever since then, he's now done over 130 deals. He's grossed multiple 7 figures in real estate. I mentioned already that he's a PIT team member and a marketing leader, and we're very, very fortunate to have him as our trainer today. Bill Predebon, good morning. How are you?
Keely, how's my voice?
You sound great. Let me get you the controls.
Oh, cool. I am great this morning. Thank you. I'm always worried about how coming on to one of these webinars. I always seem to come on as a little chipmunk.
Yeah,
so,
we've had some funny things happen.
But I'm good great this morning so far. It's been a little hectic morning. But wow, thanks so much for that awesome introduction. That was incredible. You are incredible. Thank you so much for stepping up and taking care of this call, and you're just doing an awesome job of hosting. I mean, all the hosts have done a great job, and it's just, it's just great to see you taking care of this on a national level. You're awesome. You're an awesome leader in our group, and we couldn't do Scottsdale without you at all. And so I'm so happy for what you're doing, and I'm proud of all the results you're getting too. So thank you so much. It was a great introduction. I really appreciate being able to come out on this call with you. Right on. All right, folks, welcome. Uh-oh, I just lost something. I'll always got to figure this out. Okay, so I'm on video if you want. So we got 61 people, as Keel Beal said. Feel free to text any of your teammates or friends or family or whatever you want to do to get them on this call. All right, so I'm going to pull up the chat. And for those of you that are new, I always just let you have my, not that it matters, not like it's anything special, but my cell phone number is 760-533-3141. 760-533-3141. Hey, Alicia, welcome. Happy birthday, girl. Right on. Happy birthday. All right, so today, one of the things that we can do all the time, and Dane's training yesterday was awesome, is you never have to worry about interrupting. As Dane told you, you can unmute yourself with *6, and you can type in a chat, and you can do it at any time. So this is a call, in my opinion, is about you guys. And so obviously it's a training, but most importantly, if you guys got something you're working on and girls that you want to talk about, that you want me to cover, or you want my experience on, or whatever it is, I don't care where it pertains to. If it has anything to do with my training or not, feel free to shout it out. So it always helps me too, because I can go in a direction that I wasn't thinking about going, and it'll bring up some things that I want to talk about, but I forgot to talk about or write down. So then I didn't talk about it. So once again, feel free to jump out on the call. If you're on the phone or if you're in video or whatever, you can go ahead and type in a chat. So Keely mentioned a couple things in my intro, which kind of is something I was thinking about today. as far as training goes. And one of the things that I've done recently with some of my one-on-ones, right? And so adaptability, I don't know if that's the exact word I wanted to use, but there's no question that we have systems in place. The Renata systems are awesome when it comes to being able to funnel people through the system, see the information once you see the people, right? And then you can get them to an event. We have extensive amount of opportunities, right? So you've got webinars and, 15-minute videos and follow-up videos, and you've got, all different kinds of trainings and super Saturdays and things property tours that you can invite people to. All right. There's no rules, however, right? And the system works because when it's systematized and then it is a little bit more automated, and you can move more people through it. Okay, cool. I got a question. I love this. Would you say you spend more time following up with prospects or more time finding new leads, or equal amount of time with both? So this is a great question. I'll tell you, and this is perfect for this training anyway, for what my topic is. But so for me, you guys, I used to always hear butts and seats, okay? Butts and seats, butts and seats, butts and seats, right? It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. The more people, here's your odds, calculate 100 people, and all this stuff. And so all of that's true, in my opinion, if you are working on cold leads. And naturally there's some numbers you can track even with warm market. But with cold market, you've got to get the information in front of the right person. There's a system. A certain number are going to fall off, and butts and seats is a great way to go. The answer to this question is I spend far more time working with people one-on-one than I do working with trying to find new leads. Now, I will tell you this. I cannot tell you honestly that I have ever taken massive action when it comes to the marketing. There have been times when I've taken some pretty decent action. But if you are going to, if you want to come out of the gate, it's difficult. You could go full time in this, drop everything else except studying your education. But study your education with the fact that you're not going to look for deals right now, but you're going to create a business, and you want to have the most success in your business. Then every mentor on the planet, Jim Rohn, all the guys Michael talks about, these sales guys that have been doing this, Rob, Sperry, up to the new guys like him, you've got to have 7 fishing poles, 5 to 7 fishing poles in the line, where you're doing Craigslist, you're doing Meetup, you're doing drop cards, you're doing warm market, you're doing your team's warm market, you're doing, social events, networking, you're just doing all kinds of different lead generation. And you've got this list, right? And then you're going to create massive action. You can get people into the event. But what I found, in my opinion, in today's day and age, we went through something that was, pretty devastating to a lot of people, and not just the crash and the money, but it was the way things were going on. And it's just nature, and it's just the economy and things like that, and it's human nature. But we tend to be more superficial, more on the surface. We tend to stretch the truth, and everybody can fall for it because money was freely flowing. But when the dust settled, you guys, and everybody looked back at what's most important to them, in my opinion, and this is going to lead right up into what I was talking about, adaptability. My opinion is, my experience has been, people want to be inspired. People want to trust somebody again. They don't want to be taken advantage of. I never watch the news, but I was doing taxes last night, and I'm watching and the news is on, and APS is a power company here. I don't know, man. They some lady was behind on her bill. They turned off her AC and she died. I can't see the direct correlation myself personally. Get out of the house. I don't know. Turn on a fan. I don't know. Whatever the case is, it's a major event. And so I guess more than one person died when their AC got shut off by APS. And on the other side of the coin, I'm looking at it, I'm like, at some point, you know, that's a system, and it just is what it is. She was late on her bill, but there's got to be some, you know, there's got to be some give and take, and most people, it's not just about the bottom dollar. It's not just about the bottom line. It's not just about you know, making money fast and stuff like that. And so when we're trying to inspire people, you know, they want to have something to believe in. Right. And so, and you hear people say this all the time, you know, when they buy Renatus, they buy you. And that may or may not be true. I don't think it's 100. I don't think in my experience that it's, hey, Joe, Russ, I'm going to go ahead and mute you or go ahead and mute yourself if you can.
It's not going to test with money because they don't know what they're doing. So
I'll just mute him out. Okay. So anyway, the point to the APS story is that at the same time, you know, they should have, they don't have any personal touch to it, right? And, you know, if someone would have called her up and talked to her, maybe that could have been avoided, but it's just not in the system. So when it comes to one-on-ones and it comes to dealing with more people, I like to spend time with people. And let me give you an example. I did a one-on-one yesterday with somebody. I've done several this week and over the last couple of weeks. And they're people that I've known for a while I brought this up with this guy a year ago that I did a one-on-one. And so a lot of people, when we're like, hey, come to the meeting, it's because what we're trained on. And it's always going to be better. No matter what happens, we want to get them to an event. Why? Because of the validation from third party, the meeting the community, seeing the power of the energy and all that stuff. But if this is somebody, even if you just met them or whatever, and I'm telling you, if you spend time with them, like they got something to say. And it's not like we want to listen to their sob story or their whole story or their whole life or anything like that. We have a purpose, but at the same time, you know, when you can sit down with somebody, the time that you're going to spend will go a long way to making $10,000 and changing their life. And so it's, in my opinion, you know, I spent an hour and a half with him yesterday in that one-on-one, and I never pulled up a laptop. I talked about the earnings plan, but I didn't write the earnings plan out. And I don't always do that. I usually do, you know, have some steps that I follow, like we've trained on. But my point is we spent a lot of time talking and where he was in his business and what he was looking for. And he's going to enroll. I mean, he's going to enroll in the combo. You know, I mentioned the essentials. We talked about that in his options, and he's like, well, no, I would just do the combo. It totally makes sense, you know, just from what we said. So he's coming on Saturday to the property tour. But the point is he didn't go to any events yet. And I'm taking a chance with someone who really knows a little bit about what I do just from Facebook and stuff. But, and me talking to him before, but he doesn't know, you know, he knew nothing about how the earnings plan worked or, you know, a lot of the education, but he actually knows who Jay Massey is. Right. So he had a connection. I'm like, okay, there, and he loves short-term rentals. He's got a couple of his own. My point is I spent the time listening to him and I had to adapt. I had to adapt to somebody who really wasn't interested in coming to Thursday night. Now in the future, he's going to be interested. He's going to want to see it because he's going to be sending people there. Right. We talked about the marketing plan as well. And he's interested in the leveraged income. But, so when it comes to the time that I spend, I used to always think that having as many people as I can in the meeting was the most important thing. And definitely you want to have as many people in the room as you can, right? I mean, you never know. And that's why we always say when we're generating leads, you guys, we can never, ever judge, right? We can't prejudge them. We can't assume that somebody's going to be great and this is great for them and because of this and that, because of that. We need to find out we need to find out why it's great for them, right? And the way that we do that is they're going to tell us. Because we might think that a certain person is going to do really well for a certain reason because they're a stay-at-home mom and they're looking for something to do, and they're they're motivated to bring extra income in, or whatever the case is, and we just think it's perfect for her. And then it turns out that she's got a really big alimony or something, you know what I mean, or her husband makes enough money if they're still together, whatever the case is, and she's not really that motivated to do anything financially because she doesn't need to be. So you guys get my point is that we never want to prejudge, and we want to get anybody in the room in front of the information. The information will do the selling, as you guys know. But I like to be able to see. I like to be able to see when I'm counting people in the room, which I do all the time. Dave talked about things that he counts. I don't track people like he does either, but like he doesn't do either. But I do, when I do have people in the room, including my team, I count all the time. I want to count the percentage of the room that belongs to myself and my team. More important, and as importantly, I want to count my buying units, right? The people that are actually, if I had 4 guests and really their husbands and wife, 2 husbands and wife, I'm not going to deceive myself. It's 2 guests. It's 2 buying units, right? And what degree are they at? How warm or cold are they? And that's more important than just someone I met on the way to the event and I asked them to come to the meeting. You know what I mean? They still have a chance, and so hopefully the information will sell them. But most importantly, I want to deal with the people that I'm spending time with. Hope that makes sense. And I'll get back to that in a minute with its adaptability. What do you think about my situation? I've invited a lot of my close friends who I know they'll be amazing at this. They already have the entrepreneur mindset. They come a couple of times, they don't have the money, etc. So it takes them a while to come back to a meeting. And the next thing you know, someone else helps them out because they don't tell them they need to talk to the person who invited them. So now I've lost a few good leads to some strangers in the community. Wow. Okay. So that's pretty unique. So the number one thing that's unfortunate. So I mean, it's tough. So these are close friends of yours, from what I gather. If you've got warm market that is coming to an event, and then they don't come for a while, it's tough, you guys. It's obviously on the IMA. There's a protection in place for a reason, and unfortunately, you have to have them, inside the system within 90 days of seeing an event every time. So if you've got a warm market that hasn't been there within 90 days, then it's important that you reach out to them. But it is disappointing. I mean, that's difficult. I mean, if it was in my community and I had a warm market and somebody invited somebody. So for example, I can't remember. Somebody asked me about a guy I know that I've worked on, but he hasn't been around for 6 months, and I've known him for years. He's an agent I used in the past, and she met him somewhere, and I was like, somehow she found out that he knew me, and she asked if I knew him. My point was that I would have been pretty devastated if he'd have come with her to an event, right? Or he invited her. So, but for me, I know that I would probably go up and talk to the person and see how vested they are in this person. Yeah, it does take a while for them to join, and it is disappointing. I mean, unfortunately, I guess one of the things in the future, you guys, to overcome something like this or to prevent something like this is, depending on how these folks are coming to events with you, especially warm market, is that it's important that we, transparency is everything. So there's nothing wrong with letting people know, while you're taking time off, doing your due diligence, while life is in the way, whatever you're telling them, whatever time they take, let them know when you're ready to get started, I'm here for you. Come back to me. It's, however you want to present that. But, part of my business is sharing this information. And I want to make sure that you're on the right team and and if you ever decide to join, that you're with me. So then they might know to come back to you. Most of my warm market knows that I've invited them and that they belong, they don't belong to me, but that, they know how it works. So if they did choose to get back involved, or someone else was out in the world and got a hold of them, and they mentioned Renatus, they would know that I'm already a part of that. Oh yeah, Bill's part of that. He would go. Now I will tell you, there's a few friends like this guy, given the fact that I haven't really been in touch with him for just on Facebook a little bit for over the last 9 months, that honestly, if someone had invited him, they went to a thing and he enrolled, that would be on me, because maybe he gelled with that person. Maybe it was the right time for him, but I didn't reach out to him again in time, and he'd been gone, and he's not a close friend. He's a realtor I used to do business with. He's become a friend. Like, I would go have a beer with him, but I don't call him up on a regular basis like my regular friends. So that would be different. But if these guys are your close friends, and you're in touch with them every 30 days, then yeah, in the future, at the very least, let them know how things work if they choose not. You can leave them with, it takes time to find the money. If you can't get there, Dane is very adamant about placing that order, getting the first steps started. And so if you can't get that done, then letting them know what's going on, telling them, it takes time to do diligence, and letting them know that you're still there for them. And, even if you're dripping on them, it doesn't mean that they're going to be connected to you unless they know to come back to you. Yeah. Somebody asked about the regional. Yeah, you're welcome. Somebody asked about the regionals. So I don't have all the regional list in my head. It's on Facebook. Go to Nancy Rowe's page. I'm sure every single one of you are friends with Nancy Rowe, and I'm sure you can find it. It's probably in the back office somewhere too. Could you lead a training on the structure of your one-on-one format? Yes, absolutely. I love one-on-ones, you guys. So generally speaking, I try to avoid lunch. Sometimes people will order because they're hungry and it's the time of day for them, because they're busy with work or whatever. So it is what it is. But I try not to meet at a loud place. Fortunately for me, like, I used to meet at Brugger's Bagels, because you can have a bagel and you can have some coffee or water or whatever, but it's not a big meal. So if they want to eat. So the environment, in my opinion, is very key. I like Starbucks, but a lot of times Starbucks can be loud, and also the tables are limited and they're always full. People are always working there. So I do try to avoid Starbucks, and I found a place that's very quiet, and I do all my one-on-ones there. It's at my gym, actually. I belong to a tennis club. That's my gym, and they have an awesome lounge area. And so during the day, it's a bar lounge at my gym, believe it or not. And it's quiet, and I love it, and I don't have to pay for it. I also do one-on-ones at my house, right here in my home office where I'm sitting right here. I've got 2 chairs on the other. I got a big round desk here, and I do one-on-ones there. So that's number one, is where your setting is. I got to be honest with you, and in my opinion, it's going to be hard for when you're beginning, even if you're 5-star and you to say these things. But the Phoenix Valley is very big. Some of us can drive over an hour to get to each other, and we're still inside the same county. So I won't drive 30 minutes, and I especially won't drive at a time when I'm going to be stuck in traffic. So but don't get me wrong, you do have to be adaptable, especially if you're trying to help people. So there's situations where I have done that. So I guess I shouldn't say I won't. I'm going to try to set it up where it's convenient for me, drive-wise, time-wise, for them to meet me, okay? Now, a lot of people work a certain time, so I'm going to have to try to adapt at night to meet them. I know Gary does a lot of one-on-ones at his house on Sundays after church. So it just depends on what your schedule is going to allow and what their schedule is going to allow. But one way or the other, you got to get in front of them with a one-on-one. So my format is for example, the last couple that I've had, and they're both enrolling. In fact, they're going to be a part of my own goal that I have set for this month. Brad and Mike. And Brad's a mortgage loan officer, and he's a friend of mine from my skiing days that lives out here in Arizona. And Mike is a wholesaler in town that I've been working with for a while. So anyway, the conversation just really was not necessarily a lot of catching up, but there was a lot of personal talk, right? Just what's going on in your business. Brad and I had a little bit more of a connection because we've known each other a long time. But every once in a while, as soon as I can, I would relate Renatus and the education to the situation that we're talking about. So with that format, I always bring my laptop and I always open it up when I get there before they're there. I try to get there before them, of course. And I also have a notepad, of course. And on my laptop, I have two things that are up. Since I have the presentation, which you guys can do. The presentation, I have a slide that's up, which is the price slide. And the price slide has all of the different benefits that come with each category that they could enroll in. And then I have, of course, my back office up, where I can share with them some education. I can go through them with the back office and the trainings and all that kind of stuff. So that is constant. That's a constant reference for me. And then my notepad is I do the earnings plan on the notepad, and I also and then the majority is just asking questions, as you guys know. And obviously I'm not going to do a complete one-on-one training necessarily, but unless you have a specific question. But I think you were talking more about the structure. We want to format coffee, lunch with a newer prospect, building initial rapport for the first or second contact. So if I will tell you this, folks, when I go to a one-on-one, when someone's been to one or two events already, my intention, just like you hear Michael, is to ask for the sale. Okay. And so my intention is to use, I'll tell you, I use Dane's 1, 2, 3 thing, as far as those getting started steps go, and placing the order first, opening the account, then finding the money and that kind of thing. So if I know they don't have the money yet, because most of the time, you guys, at my one-on-ones, I'm absolutely moving through a system of questions and the earnings plan, if need be. Not all the time they need the earnings plan, but sometimes. But moving through the education and objections and questions, and then I go ahead and I go through funding, and then I place their order, right? So, but if I'm at a one-on-one where they've seen an event, I'm 100% of the mindset that I'm going to ask for the order and place the order, or I'm going to move them to the next event if they're not ready for that. Either way, I'm going to set up the account if I can, and still move them to the next event. When these last couple one-on-ones that I've done, it's been in lieu of the Thursday night, right? Because they didn't really, they were warm market. They really wanted to sit down and just talk, right? And which is totally fine. That's what I was talking about with being adaptable. At some point, there's going to be a time, especially with warm market, where honesty and transparency and just inspiring people is, and you guys, if you're brand new and inspiring someone is going to be difficult for you, I totally get it. That's a mindset thing, and you'll get past that as your belief goes up, but you can inspire people with other people's stories and what's possible with Renatus and what you know about Bob Snyder and the whole PAC team, and then all of the people that you know around your local communities that are inspiring. And you can just lead by that example when you're inspiring people. And Dane talks about asking people, what their future looks like in a year and things like that. So, if you're being real with them, in my opinion, especially, letting people know that you don't know a lot, or that, you haven't made money, or, you're just getting started, or, I've been doing this for 3 years. And to be honest with you, I didn't see the value. So I sat on my butt for a while. And now I realized I was wrong. And you know how far that goes with somebody? I mean, people want to buy that. They don't want to buy a pipe dream, in my opinion. And even if they did, right, and you had that sales tactic, it's on false pretenses, and it may leave a bad taste in their mouth. You know, I just feel like I treat it like, you know, people do want to be inspired, and they want to be with the people. They want to surround themselves with people that have the same interests and common goals, but want to get there in the same way. Don't get me wrong. There's the A personalities and stuff that are, you know, all about the money and everything like that, and they haven't experienced some of the things. But if you look at a lot of the commercials in today's day and age when you're watching TV, I don't know if you guys watch commercials anymore, but, you know, even the finance commercials are all, you know, they're all about lesser fees and transparency and the husband and wife talking to each other about, you know, the taboo, which they never talked about before. You know, before the crash, and even during that time afterwards, you know, it was all about the return that they can get on their investment. It was all about, you know, the company and what they could do for you and all these great benefits, right? But it was never about, you know, hey, are we going to be all right? What's it take? You know, how do I sit down with somebody? You know, people are willing to pay a fee if they know they're getting value, right? It's like if you think about some of the things that cost a lot of money: lawyers, accountants, auto mechanics, doctors, things like. The reason we go to the doctor most of the time is because we have insurance, right? But if we don't have insurance, or we're going to have to pay by out of pocket, or we have a deductible, and we think about the money side of things, right? Then we go to a doctor and we want value. Like, we want them to solve the problem. We don't want to run a bunch of tests, right? We know that sometimes we'll have to or whatever, but you know what I'm saying? Like we want the value. We don't mind paying you out of pocket, like, you know, oh, I was there for 30 minutes, $192 or whatever, right? And you're like crap. But if you go there for 30 minutes and the guy's like, oh, this is what you have, and this is what you're going to do, and this is how long it's going to take to be gone, you're like, okay. So we don't usually get that. So we have this reluctancy to go to the doctor because we just feel like it's so much money, and that we don't, you know, they never ever know. And then, you know, there's all these meds, and then we got to go buy these meds. It's crazy. So we avoid it a little bit, right? And I'm not saying the system's broken. I mean, it is what it is. They're not going to be able to tell you every time they look at you, but you get my point is, like, the same thing with us. Like, people will buy what they believe to be of value, and they believe to be, you know, something they can wrap their head around. And so anyway, so being adaptable, you guys get that point. I love these questions. So being adaptable, when I do, what I mean by that too is like, just because, like, when I did these 2 one-on-ones, I did not ask for the sale on either one. I definitely booked a meeting from a meeting. So with Michael yesterday, he's going to the he's going to the property tour at Mine Flip with his wife on Saturday, right? And this is a guy who's probably wholesaled, I don't know, 50 homes, give or take, maybe more. And he's got a couple of Airbnbs of his own. He's been in the real estate game. He's probably spent $100,000 on education over the last 10 years. I've known the guy for a while. And so he's still going to a simple property tour, right? Because there's value there. And he understands some of the things that he's doing are not exactly getting him where he wants to go. Like, he doesn't want to be a wholesaler forever. And then, you know, with Brad, and there's 2 others, last week as well, that I can tell you about. You know, Brad, I knew he was going in for a surgery, so I sent him my link to the new, you know, drop card link, right? So that he could watch that at the hospital, no problem. And the first thing I did as a loan officer is I said, hey, I took the liberty of sending him the 13-minute interest reduction video. And then after that, I texted him and, you know, said, hey, I'll be sending you the link. We'll get together after surgery or whatever. So that was my follow-up part of it. And then I'll do another one-on-one with him. Eventually they would go to the meetings, but he'll probably enroll this month before he even goes to a meeting. Anyway, so the adaptability part, the part to be able to just change, or just, you know, it takes some of your own, like if you're feeling something, when you're doing this marketing and you're talking to someone and you want to get them to the meeting, or you need to book them to the next event, or you want to get them to the intensive, but you don't know how to do it, or you know, you can't get them to answer your phone. Sometimes it's there's obviously an objection there, and it's not that they don't like Renatus and they don't like the opportunity, but it is most likely the fact, as we all know, that it is the money, just like what she was talking about with her friend not having the money. So it takes them a while, you know, and then all of a sudden they end up talking to somebody else, which is unfortunate. Again, maybe, you know, you can call me on that specifically, or talk to your 5-star. And, you know, I would definitely go talk to the person if they haven't. I don't know. That's a delicate situation. But anyway, you can't get everybody, but when I call somebody and they haven't answered the phone, sometimes the first time I won't leave a message, right? Because I don't know how valuable a message is, right? Unless you're like, hey, I'll see you, you know, by the way, I can't make it, but I'll see you on Tuesday, you know, leave a message, right? But when you're like, hey, just Bill, following up with you, want to see how you're doing, you know, I know we talked about getting together on the phone, told me to call you at this time, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. The first time I call them, I don't leave a message like that. That's just me. But what I will do is something that I know they'll look at, which is my text. And I tell you guys, when I send a text, other than when I'm just talking to my contractors and my friends and stuff, when I'm driving and I'm just talking to the text, when I'm sending text to my prospects or to my team's prospects, I calculate it. I write it, and then I erase it, and then I write it, and then I change it, and then I erase it. Like I pull over, and I will work through the text as to exactly there has to be some intrigue. There has to be something different in order to catch their interest, and then also to show that I care. Like literally that I'm not just trying to get a hold. Now, it doesn't always work, you guys. But the cool thing is that I'm sending out these texts every day, if not multiple times a day. But if you're only sending them out once a month, then you don't have enough people. So you've got to see more people, right? My talk to texts are always fun. Yeah, Keely and I text all the time, and they're pretty funny. It's funny. Sometimes I do that to prospects, and then I read it and like, oh my God, you know, and so you know, I'll tell you a story. One time I texted a guy. It didn't turn out yet, but he's still in the pipeline. But I texted a guy and he didn't respond. And then I was in the middle of texting 2 other people, and I accidentally sent him a text that said goodbye. And he immediately responds like, who is it? Or he's like, what does that mean? Like, so he was there. I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry. I was meant to go to the other guy. But then I started engaging in the conversation with him because he knows that he's on his text, and he's actually like, you know what? My wife and I are discussing it. We do want to come to another event.
Hi, Joe. How you doing?
But the money's an issue, or whatever he said. I don't remember. It was a couple weeks ago. But it's just interesting. You can always, you know, you can always make a mistake on your text. Either have a typo or 2 in there on purpose, or you could send them a text that doesn't belong to them, and see how they respond. But anyway, my point is, you got to be creative. You got to, you know, I really try to personalize every text with somebody when it's a prospect, and then there is a point where, you know, some people will not be able to make a Thursday night for a while, and they will adjust their schedules eventually when the value goes up. But in the meantime, they work Thursday nights, or they got family Thursday nights, or Saturdays. They're just not going to go on Saturdays because they don't have the value yet, right? They don't have the desire's not big enough, or the value's not there. And so when in that case, you know, depending on how much you're willing to take a risk with this individual, you would go spend time with them when it's convenient for them, right? When it's not convenient for you. And if you're not 5-star, or if you're brand new 5-star, I recommend asking someone that has more experience go with you, right? If not, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. That's a fact in my opinion. that little cliche or whatever it is a fact, and it doesn't matter what you're going to say with the right person. They're going to get the message, right? So you can go to them and do a one-on-one with them, and it goes a long way. And you can go there with the intent of placing the order and even asking for the order and things like that, or booking them to the next event. I think if you can't get them to an event and there's someone that you feel you want to have see the information, whether it's warm market or like a 3-foot rule or whatever, then maybe your first touch has to be a one-on-one. Now it's not efficient at all. It's not efficient. You can't go there really and give a whole presentation and give them all the information. All you can go, Alex mentioned this earlier, is build rapport. Is find out where they're at, having a conversation with them. You may never get them to a meeting. You may waste an entire hour because you don't know anything about this person, and they're not a friend or a relative or a colleague. So, but like I have one of these guys right now. I met him. I just put in a new whole home water system this past weekend, and my wife actually prospected the guy, and so I came home after the intensive. And I gave him, I started talking to him alone from his other guy, and we booked an intro video, and his schedule's tight. He was available Monday, which was Labor Day, and I didn't want to meet on Monday. I was not going to work on Monday, so I did not meet him on Monday. But he doesn't. His schedule's all over. He puts in these systems. He might do 4 in a day, and he might do 1. So I just told him, let me know when he has time. Otherwise, we'll schedule it for this coming Monday. But I'm going to have to meet him on his terms in order to sit down. Now, here's the thing. He's a cold market, right? He works I don't know what I would call it, a skilled labor job. I imagine the money's okay. But my guess is from talking to him, is he's not rolling in the dough, right? So hopefully there's some resource, but there sounds like there's some desire. It sounds like from the conversations I had, he's got some desire. So he's definitely willing to get started and wanting to get started in real estate, and he's excited about it. So I sent him a couple texts that his responses were worthy of me getting together with him, and so I'll have a one-on-one with him before he ever sees a meeting, right? And so, but it's risky because I don't know anything about him, and there may not be the ability for him to fund. Right. And so, but that's one of those things that you just got to take a chance. I think it just depends on, if you've heard Michael train, and if you haven't, make sure you do, and go back to some of his old trainings. But, Michael's been in this game, and has really evolved into a national leader, as you guys know. And, you'll hear him say, he'll get up and go to someone's house with his iPad, with his tablet, go bring it over there and go to work when they have a question, when he's on the phone with them or he's texting them. It's like, you know what? If you're available right now, I'm coming over. And he'll go do a one-on-one. He'll go do an earnings plan. He'll go do a demonstration. He'll go do a Q&A, whatever it is. And it's adaptable. He didn't wait for the meeting. He didn't wait for that. That is the next event. What's the next event? The next event's the one-on-one when you can get in front of the person, right? And I truly think that, I truly believe this, you guys. Dane talked about, I hope you guys get on this call all the time. I think that there's so many good things that you guys we can all get out of, I get out of every day when someone trains. Dane talked about yesterday, I don't remember what I was going to say. Dane talked about tracking his one-on-ones, I think is what I was going to say. But what I was getting at is that, let me see if I can just double check you guys if you're off mute or not. There's a couple of you aren't, but that's fine. Usually I can tell who it is. I lost that thought. Is that if you can get to the point where, not even get to the point, when you're starting out, I don't care, spend some time on the phone with these folks. Text is great. It's great for a quick intrigue question, right? To spark a conversation and then get them on the phone. Like, when can you talk? When I text, like I was texting a guy who's one of my team's prospects yesterday, and he didn't respond to my call the first time, and he had a voicemail that was, he had a voicemail, but I didn't leave a message. So I immediately sent him a text, let him know who I was, I was looking forward to talking to him, whatever. And then I said to him on the text as I ended, I'm like, hey, let me know what a good time is for you to call. I could call you this afternoon or tomorrow morning or whatever. I gave him a couple choices, but not like a specific time, because I don't know what his schedule is. I kind of know what he does for a living, so I know he has some flexibility, but he didn't respond to the text. So my couple meetings went by yesterday. My one follow-up went by, and another follow-up that I did. And so then I called him again after like 3 hours, and he didn't answer again. And I sent him one more text. Then I called the person that invited him, and I let her know that I didn't get a hold of him, that I tried to get a hold of him. But each time that I did text him, I did ask for a phone call, because I wanted to let him know I want to talk to him. I really want to, I believe that the conversation is so important, that if you can, listen in, if you're not 5-star, listen into some people that are 5-star that can help you close your sales or talk to your prospects for you. And then as you become 5-star and you start to build your own team and you have your first sale or two, or you're working on that, man, if you can do it over the phone and really have conversations over the phone, and then build to the next event or build to a one-on-one personal follow-up one way or the other, and adapt that way, I think it'll go a long way. I mean, to closing business without a doubt. And I think you guys all know that. But anyway, I don't see any other questions so far. Cool. Let's see. What can I end with? That's going to be powerful. Let me think. There was something I was going to tell you. I know when I started out, Keely gave this, talked about my intro, and so when I got started, I'll tell you, like, what I found was, so when in 06, I became a loan officer. That was my first way into real estate, right? And I became a loan officer because I looked on Craigslist or whatever it was, and it had dollar signs next to it. Like that used to be my ad on Craigslist for marketing for Renatus, was dollar signs, and then the little ad. So then it was like 10 grand a month or something. So I was interested in the money. So the next thing I liked was that I basically just got the job because it was 100% commission. When there was an issue making money as a loan officer in 2007 with all the bank issues and everything, and the loans and the market crashing and everything, I got my real estate license. Again, I didn't even know why I wasn't making money. I was blaming the companies. I didn't understand it. I was putting loans in the bank and no loans or in the pipeline and no loans were closing, right? So then I became a loan officer. I mean, I got my real estate license thinking I could help sell some condos and be a preferred loan officer at this condo complex and all stuff. Anyway, it was zero, right? So I was making $0 on 100% commission. And so, I was kind of forced into, I just looked at it when I had the opportunity to do Renatus and to do real estate for myself. I was like, well, I'm putting 100% of effort into something I can't control, and I'm not getting anywhere, and I'm still going to make 100% commission. So I have to work for free the whole time until I close something. So I just decided that why not work 100% for 100% of the profit instead of a little bit of the profit, and as an agent or a loan officer, and go 100% investor, try to learn how to do short sales and wholesaling 100%. Then if I get a deal done, I get the 100% of the money. So even though it might take me a little longer, I'm going to make 3 times as much. And that's the way I looked at it, right? So that's why I basically quit being a loan officer. I mean, I remember my wife asked me, like, are you not even doing any loans anymore? I'm like, it doesn't make any sense for me to try to do a damn loan, right? So my point to this is, as I finish this up, is like, look at your situation and what makes sense for you, and being adaptable, right? Like, if you've got a job and you've got family or you've got friends or you've got limited access to transportation or limited funds, number one is if you could get some advice from your 5-star or even a pit member, a pack member, or someone in the community that's not one of those things, but it also is doing a lot of the marketing, then and see what their advice might be for you in your specific situation. But we've got to look at where you're at and what's going to make the most sense for you to make money the quickest and the best way, right? Now, naturally, we all know it's the marketing, but how, right? And the how part is like, okay, how do I incorporate this into what is existing already, right? So for me, like when it came to real estate back then, or it came to marketing in 2016, when I decided, okay, I'm going to just go to town on marketing. I'm 100% committed to marketing as much as my real estate. In fact, I'm going to take some steps back on real estate and not do as many deals so I can do more marketing. Then I was able to incorporate the time, right? So I just decided that I was going to add more time to my plate of work, that I would be gone more, that I would be working more, and that I would also have to give up Thursday night hockey, that I would have to give up sports on Saturday, no college football. I would have to give up all of these things, right? I knew that going in. So like, look at your situation and get some advice on it if you want. But you know, if your resources are limited, your time is limited, your money's limited, your availability is limited for Thursday nights, whatever it is, this business can be built without a question if you've got the heart and you care and you want to be transparent and you want to be inspiring and you want to tell inspiring stories. You can adapt and you can bring this business to anybody any way you want. Don't get me wrong. We're never, ever, ever going to replace the live event. That is not what I'm telling you here. So please don't tell your 5-star I told you don't have to go to events. That's not what I'm saying. There's nothing better than we are an event-driven business. We are a community-driven business, and ultimately it's where it is. But if you can't get someone to an event, either because of the way you're presenting it or their situation or both, then adapt. And if you build a conversation and create value in yourself for them, and they trust you, and I don't care if it's cold market, and they begin, even if it's over the phone, we're not telling facts about Renatus. We're literally asking questions and getting to know this person and building rapport over 10 or 15 minutes. In fact, when you call someone and you leave a message, I talked to Joanne about this yesterday. It might have been Joanne. I can't even remember. And I think it was Joanne. And I said, listen, when you call someone and leave a message or shoot a text and you tell them I've got 10 to 15 minutes, how much pressure does that take off of them right away, right? The thing is that you've got 10 or 15 minutes. That means that they know it's not going to take very long. So you can't tell a whole presentation and spill all your guts and throw up on them about Renatus. You can simply ask a few questions and then ask them to the event. But you can adapt and you can meet these people or talk with these people or buy them coffee. Like take the money out of your jar and go buy someone a cup of coffee or a cheap bagel or something that you do. And ask them a few questions so you can build to the next event or leave them with something. Leave them with a link, but do it in person. And I'm telling you, it'll make a difference. You're not going to do it on every single account. But man, if you're struggling with